All right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? So welcome everyone to the finale of the Roundtable series, the 3.0 version. We're really excited to have what a great group of fintech leaders joining me today, along with 6 top advisors throughout the country that are going to give some great perspectives today on what's working when it comes to the technology that they have in place, how the integrations are really making their practice more efficient. So really excited to hear from them today. We are recording this webinar, so we'll make it available to everyone after this session's over. I think we're going to get a lot of great discussions. Can't wait to hear everyone's insights and hear about your experience. A quick shout out to Craig Iskowitz from the Ezra Group. He's doing a live Twitter coverage for us today. That he covered our first couple of roundtables. So hi Craig, thanks for joining us today. The fastest 2-finger typer that I've ever seen in my life. He does a great job. So thanks for recapping all the discussions and for the great write-ups. And so if I can just start with a quick intro, when it comes to these roundtable series, what I think the benefit has really shown the advisor community is that the ability and the need for everyone to get together and really share what's working for them. And I think that the first couple roundtables were so successful at that. We really did get a lot of great information from the fintech leaders that are here with me again today, just sharing the ideas that really help them to both manage teams that are working remote and give some great insights and some ideas that I think advisors were able to take back with them and put into practice that that hopefully is making their life a little bit easier. And during this crazy stay-at-home period, I think everybody needs that right now, is just some ideas to try to help cope and make it a little bit more efficient for them. So what I'd like to do today to start is to give a quick intro of the fintech leaders that are joining us. So Allison Susko from Massimath, thanks for joining us. Kelly Waltrick from Orion. And we've got Brian McLaughlin from Redtail. And Justin Boatman from Riskalyze. And we've got Alicia Howard from Snappy Kraken. And myself, Corey Westfall, representing Mobile Assistant. So thanks everyone for joining us. The amazing advisors that we asked to join us today that are going to give some of their insights are Mark Bautis, Randy Dipple, Todd Marcourt, Shannon Spotswood, Nina O'Neill, and Molly Ward. And so the format of this today is going to be a little different in that we are going to have first the 6 panelists that represent the financial technology companies give some insights on the different ideas behind technology. That I'm going to read off a few questions as kind of a structure to kind of give us some formatting. And then after all the fintech leaders have talked and given some insights, we're going to cut our webcams and we're going to go over to the advisor group. And we're going to ask them a specific set of questions and let them give their insights on what's really working for them in their practice. Okay, so the questions that we kind of teed up for this webinar today was for the fintech leaders. What are the trends that are in your space that financial services that are really top of mind to you? And what is your firm doing to address those concerns or those trends? And what do you feel like could possibly be a missing conversation that advisors just aren't putting maybe appropriate energy into? And so to kick us off today, excited to have Justin Boatman joining us here from Riskalyze. So Justin, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, first of all, just want to say thanks for having me on here. Aaron, our CEO, and Lori, our chairman, do say hi. And I got to watch the first 2 of these roundtables from the outside looking in and just taking as many notes as I possibly could. And so those were really, really good. By the way, if anyone's watching this and you haven't caught up on those, make sure to go back and do that because it was really good stuff. So we just posted links to the recordings at the top of Riskalyze's Twitter if you want to find those and catch up. But yeah, thanks Corey and everyone for having me on. Gosh, I will say, what a wild time it is to be in the business of, facilitating conversations about risk and helping people, not make fear-bound, horrible decisions right now. It has been absolutely nuts. And for the last few years, we just keep hearing about advisors who use Riskalyze for things like, strengthening their brand and growing their business and documenting best interests and all those things. But then 2020 hits, right? And it's like the rubber hits the road. And now it's all about setting the right expectations with clients and client retention, talking people off the ledge, helping people not make fear-bound, horrible decisions. So I will say, in terms of, one trend we're seeing, gosh, I can't wait to dive even deeper into the data that's going to come out of Riskalyze for this, but in 2020 here. But one thing that jumps out immediately is usage of a feature that we call check-ins. And I won't dive like too deep into product features and stuff like that, but check-ins is basically an advisor's way to send out periodic email check-ins that ask two questions of an investor. How do you feel about the markets, and how do you feel about your financial future? And that way, kind of, you can prioritize which clients might need a little extra psychological care. And as we look at usage charts within Riskalyze, you can see as soon as volatility hits, I mean, it's not, a minor, it is like a spike in usage of advisors going, okay, I need these data points on clients. Because as good as it is to snag, a quantifiable, documentable risk tolerance, risk number, that's just one data point. Not all advisors using Riskalyze use risk questionnaires. You might be curious to hear from the advisors on the call. I think all 6 of the advisors on the call do use Riskalyze. Not every Riskalyze advisor uses risk tolerance questionnaires. Risk tolerance is one data point, and between risk capacity and portfolio risk, and then these check-ins in the last couple of years gathering market sentiment data, there's a whole lot going out there, driving fear outside of just finance and the numbers. And so checking in and saying, how are you feeling, is important. And so in terms of as many data points as you need to get on a client's psychology, boy, asking, market sentiment questions and how are you feeling about your finances, super important. I don't know about you guys, I just feel like everyone's at an 11 right now in terms of just like, reacting with fear to stuff and being emotional. And, I don't know about you, I think, I'm convinced that the last cool, calm, collected guy in America is Brian McLaughlin, and the rest of us are just emotionally exhausted, right? But anyway, so all to say that, I think a trend that we're seeing is advisors stepping up and making sure that cooler heads prevail.
That's great, Justin. Thanks. Yeah, I think everyone on this panel from the technology leader side of things can attest to the fact that our clients really need us more than ever, right? That their client interactions have gone through the roof as far as what their clients are needing from them. So it's great that you're able to provide that real-time data for them so quickly, Justin. That's awesome. Okay. Well, why don't we go on to Brian? Brian, why don't you give some thoughts on what top of mind for you today?
I'm not as calm and cool as collected as Justin thinks I am. I had to sneak off to the office to get away from the family. So also, I appear to be the only one wearing a hat because I have yet to I have like an afro under here now. It's just exploding. So, man, there's just so much. The CRM obviously has become critical this time and this juncture of keeping track of everything going on with all your conversations for prospecting, client meetings, everything else. The record keeping part of that is huge right now. And so one of the things that we're looking at and been working on is better ways and easier ways to actually do scheduling of meetings. We don't know how long this is going to go for. In fact, my company, we just actually had our first let's get out of the pandemic work from home discussion. And so we know it's going to take a while for all of us to kind of get back into a normal routine with clients coming in and stuff like that. So getting access through the CRM to quickly schedule these go to meetings and these Zoom calls and stuff like that, better interactions with Calendly and so forth is stuff that we're working on heavily right now. We're probably a little slow to it, right? I think all of us thought this was maybe a month, 6 weeks. Here we are, week 7, going on week 8 with no real end. I mean, in California, we're going till at least end of May. So really adapting the environment to the CRM to make it easier for them to communicate with their clients. The big thing too is, a couple of years ago, we had Redtail Speak come out, which is the client texting platform, and that has skyrocketed because we have shifted to that full digital environment now, right? Where Talking via text is critical. Emails, we want to be more real time, but how do we archive all that and put it into a system that we can actually have for audit purposes? And Redtail Speak handles that. So we've seen a complete blow up on that. We've been doing a lot of work and updates on that front as well. And then, of course, we talked about last time, which is a lot of culture work here, keeping the employees engaged, keeping the advisors trained and educated, and keeping them motivated as well. One of the things I think we did that was kind of cool was that we changed out all of our login images to be things like, you got this, make it a great day, just happier thoughts, right? And trying to keep sharing more of that happy, hey, we can make this. I now know of about a dozen clients that actually got sick or are sick from this, and just trying to keep spirits up, right? And I think we have to do that for our companies, but we have to do it for our clients, and keep going down that road.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, Brian. I mean, I think everyone here on this panel is in one way or another involved in the communication that advisors are having with their clients, right? And understanding the different avenues that they have to be able to reach out to their clients with, like Redtail Speak's a great one. There's advisors out there might not know that that's even an option for them. So it's great that you brought that to light, Brian. I've seen it in action. I think it's fantastic. It's basically a compliant texting tool, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no software required from a client perspective. They just text you and we just capture everything and tie it back to client records. So it's huge. And then you also have the internal communication too as well, in case you're not using something like a Slack or something, because you just don't need it for a smaller company. Speak handles that as well.
Right, great stuff. Well, Allison, let's hear from you with Asset Map. I love your solution so much. I'm such a visual person, so being able to see things laid out for me is really critical. And so I'd love for you to talk about what's going on at Asset Map and how you guys are doing through this crisis that we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's thank you, Corey, and thanks for having us. I'm excited to be here today. Of course, what Brian was just saying reminded me too. We're trying to hear from advisors on what's working for them, and I talked to a couple people specifically this week about kind of how they're pivoting things and how they're using Asset Map in different formats. And the one thing I think that's really cool is obviously we've been talking a ton about remote meetings. Adam has been, our CEO, a huge remote meeting proponent since, even in his firm, I don't know, 20 years ago. I mean, he might have been the first person, as an advisor who was meeting with clients remotely. So we're really familiar with it. We're really comfortable with it. And, a big thing for us is making sure advisors can provide some real financial clarity right now. So not panicking, not thinking about what they might need to do immediately or, quick decisions, but let's make sure we're all on track. Looking at something visually, like you said, is a really nice way to kind of say, what, we're making good decisions. I'm providing good advice as an advisor, and we're able to get the clients engaged and not overwhelmed with 30 pages of reports, through a webinar. So there's so many different systems out there that are beneficial, but I think where we really stand out is in the remote sector. So to be able to look at one screen, see everything in one spot, have it be visual, get the whole family included, and really have those good discussions. Part of the reason why I'm here with you today is because of a kind of virtual pivot. So Adam's hosting a remote boot camp. So there's a virtual boot camp going on in our firm right now. He's got dozens of advisors. Actually, I think one of our advisor speakers today might be taking a little respite and joining this and then going back to boot camp. But the purpose of that is to really help these advisors be comfortable talking about Asset Map in this kind of world we're living in, and provide some great advice. Something else I thought might be really cool to mention today to you guys is, something around best interest. That's something else we're really putting a big focus on. We have some development resources and a cool product release coming up with something called Milestones. So Milestones within Asset Map, which really hardly anybody's seen yet, so this is kind of me stealing Adam's thunder talking about it, is to be able to document and really kind of memorialize in the system conversations you've had with your clients and their families. So, hey, we've talked about things like additional life insurance or disability needs that you might have, and I can now keep track in the system. We've had these discussions, here was the outcome. Maybe they want to talk again in 6 months, or they've declined coverage. not only are you getting the whole family included in these conversations, but you're protecting yourself by notating it in Asset Map, which is great.
Allison, that's great, and thanks for the new product update on this. This is great. Yeah, I hope Adam knew that you were stealing his thunder there.
I have a text proving that I asked him about it 2 nights ago. So if he brings it up, I'm actually covered as well. Best interest here at Asset Map by me asking for permission.
That's great. I think that brings to light an important topic, which is innovation, and I think everyone within these firms are really doing a great job of listening to what advisors and their clients need right now and building solutions for that. And so kudos to you guys over at Asset Map. I think that's a great example.
Thanks.
You bet. All right, well, let's shift over to Kelly at Orion. Kelly, love to hear some thoughts from you today.
Hey guys, thanks Corey. Hi everyone, all my friends on the same webinar, it's awesome. I had remarks planned, and then I had a prospect meeting yesterday where the CEO of a firm that we were talking to said very eloquently that planning is the art of their firm and everything else can be systematized. And I've been hearing that sort of play over in my head again and again ever since he said that, because I think it's a really thoughtful way that they run their business. And so as I started to think about, my trends for this call, I wanted to align what Orion is doing around planning to that comment, which is, I think, a little bit different, right? Because you think of us as a portfolio management company, but we've definitely been incorporating planning more and more into everything that we do over the past year. So I'm going to reiterate some of the things that Eric already mentioned and hopefully mention some new ones. And what better time to be focused on planning as all this craziness is ensuing. First is that, we wanted to really break down the barrier of planning. We want more families to get access to more plans. We want more advisors to do more plans. So we're offering our planning platform for free, not just to Orion clients, but to everybody. We want to just open up and sort of break down those barriers. The second is, and this is sort of near and dear to my heart, you probably saw this, but we released a marketing platform last week that is completely centered around the idea that planning should be driving prospecting conversations. We want firms to be able to tell their story centered around planning more easily and drive to planning conversations more easily. The next is that we're working on sort of rebuilding our client experience from the ground up on the modern interface that we bought from the advisor planning platform to really marry planning and investment as they should be in one single view. So really focused on sort of bringing planning to the forefront and letting the traditional Orion portfolio management platform power that in the background. And then I think you asked another question about, conversations that advisors need to be having that maybe they aren't. And Shannon Spotswood, who's also on this call, and I had a really phenomenal planning call for this webinar. And we sort of started talking about that even if you have the right technologies, you have the right people, and you have the right ideas, that it's the processes behind all that that truly drive success. So we're seeing more and more as advisory firms are bringing their businesses remote, that's coming to light, that even with, the Orions and the Asset Maps and the Riskalyzes of the world, you still need to build really phenomenal processes around all of these technologies for it to work in the craziest of circumstances. So she's actually going to talk a little bit more when the advisors come on board about how she's doing that at her firm in a very real way to make sure that they can carry their success from the office to their homes.
Okay. That's great, Kelly. Thanks. It sounds like you guys are really in tune with with what your clients are asking for, which is great. Well, I think I'll wrap things up here with the technology partners, and I won't talk so much about our technology as I will about a couple things that I think are. Oh, there's some.
Don't forget me.
Oh, Alicia, how did I forget you? You're so quiet over there. I think that's what
you were
happened.
actually saving the best for the last. It's okay. You're very modest.
Oh, well, Alicia, please, I'd love for you to share some thoughts with what we have going on at Snappy Kraken. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much for letting us be here, because as a marketing technology company, We have a very unique focus inside of the financial industry during this crisis, and we're all about helping the advisors make meaningful connections with their clients and their prospects right now. It's the most important thing that they could be doing, and it's going to help them to strengthen their existing relationships and help build new relationships. So, our focus really, the main trend that we're focusing on is providing value with every interaction, making sure that we're keeping all of our content relevant to the situation, and ensuring that we're positioning the advisors as the influencers, because there's so much noise that's going on right now. So we really want to make sure that clients and prospects can really tune in. Some specific things that as a company we're doing, when this entire situation started, we sat down as an executive team and we had a discussion, and we said, we're going to come through this entire crisis. We're already a remote company, but we're going to come through this stronger than we started this. And we're going to do that by squarely supporting our advisors to get through this crisis, because they're going through this transition to remote work. And so some very specific things that we did, our CEO sent out an open letter where we removed any type of financial barriers that advisors were experiencing because of the shock of the situation, so they could start marketing. This is the best time to be marketing. We wanted to make sure that there was nothing stopping them from being able to be in contact regularly with their clients and their prospects. We adjusted our content roadmap so that we could provide crisis communications that were a good mix of what's going on, but also touching on the emotional aspects that a lot of people were feeling and kind of helping to bring those things into perspective. So that was really key. And then most excitingly, just, this past week, we've released a new product, personal connection videos. And this is a one-of-a-kind product that's available. It's putting in front of advisors scripts, promotional materials, landing pages, and very soon here also social posts on a bi-weekly basis, where an advisor can record themselves in their natural environment, speaking genuinely and directly to their clients and prospects, and being able to get that information out in front of their prospects. So that way they can see their face, they can still interact with them. It doesn't have to be in a formal, meeting setting, but it helps to kind of keep that relationship very much real and very alive. And the two things I'd like to mention, just as far as where we want to, continue to see appropriate energy. The first one is for advisors not to forget that while you're taking care of all your clients, this is the best time to offer help. It's a great time to prospect. Don't forget that prospecting is really important in this area. It's not selfish. It's not like trying to build your business. It's actually offering help, providing guidance. And that when we do that, or when advisors can do that with their clients, it really does show a genuine personal interest. And that's what people are going to gravitate to help build stronger relationships. And to just kind of piggyback off of what Kelly mentioned about organization and workflows, and what will be related here shortly with the advisors, the ability to provide consistent experiences for clients in this remote environment where so many things have just changed. I just want to echo that feeling that the only way to be able to do that is to create a good system of processes. And one specific simple scenario, when you're introducing remote environment, new technology, one quick way to be able to do that is a method Ari Mazel mentioned, 3 steps. If you are starting something new, do a screen recording of you performing the entire process, speak through it, talk through it, give that recording to someone else, let them write down the step-by-step directions. And then third, hand it off to someone and let them try and work through it. And then fill in the gaps, make the adjustments. The more that we can create repeatable processes in a remote environment, the better you are set up for success.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Alicia. Yeah. And I'd add one thing. I'd say be prepared to be flexible.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to these remote environments and all the technology that everyone's dealing with that you might not be super familiar with, this is a great example. We're using GoToWebinar for the first time, and we've got 6 videos on screen, and that's it. And for some, we don't know why. And so we're working through it. So I think those are great tips, Alicia. And one of the things, because I really love the content that comes from Snappy, especially on the social posts. Like Robert Sophia does such a great job of sharing insights and thoughts that are really relevant and really seem to be resonating and helping advisors. One of the things he said the other day was that that connecting with clients and prospects, needs to be on an emotional level, right? And that they aren't just numbers, and it's important to remember that, and remember that they need that human connection. And so I think, from your platform, I think you guys do a really great job of addressing that and trying to help advisors connect in that way with their clients. So fantastic. Yeah. Well, so I think it's my turn to go now. So so a couple of things just from listening to everyone that is really top of mind for me is that the need right now in this time for exceptional communication and utilizing the technology around you as an advisor to help you to really connect with your clients. There's three main things that I think are so important for advisors to maintain and really try to build on their relationships, because that's what it's all about. It's all about the testing that's being done right now of the client advisor relationship. I've never seen it this intense, because advisors need to make sure that their clients understand that they're there for them. And so the communication is one, just being timely and having it be consistent. I think that's super important, and utilizing technology to not only communicate, but then also how are you documenting those interactions? How are you getting into your CRM to make sure that that you've got that information collected? I think is super important. Brian, you hit on something earlier that it's my number two, which is when it comes to relationships, is the positivity that you're exuding to your clients. It's really easy, I think, when there's times of crisis to get caught up in all of the overwhelm, stress that comes with it. And advisors are human, and they are experiencing the same thing. They're stressed and overwhelmed as well. But I think it's really important to remember that your clients are looking for you for that confidence, and making sure that you're exuding that positivity. So that would be my second item. The third is try to exceed your clients' expectations. So if they love the fact that you communicate with them once a week, communicate with them twice a week, right? Make sure that they know that you're going above and beyond to make sure that they're taken care of and that they know that you're there for them. I think, to talk just a little about Mobile Assistant, I think what we are trying to do as a company is to listen to the clients of what could really help them in the different times of need that they have. And like right now, we're implementing additional templates into our Talk It mobile app that have phone calls, client reviews, different templates that'll really allow advisors to be really guided through the process of capturing the information. So when advisors, you're meeting with your clients, instead of just hitting record and trying to remember everything, we're going to try to make things a little easier by adding templates to the process. That information then is organized, it's structured when it comes back to you, so that you have everything in the right order, and you don't worry about forgetting anything. And so for us, I think that's one of the things I'll leave this discussion with the FinTech leaders is just keep innovating, everybody. I think you're doing a great job. Every one of these companies, there's a reason why I had asked for the initial roundtable discussion, because I've learned so much from all the different leaders and all the different things that you're doing to try to help the advisor community. Keep it up, because I think this is the time that they need you the most. So. So thanks everyone for joining me. This is the FinTech wrap up part of this webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everyone on the screen now to go ahead and turn off your webcam, and we're going to go ahead and try to transition this over to the advisors. So advisors, if you can put your webcam on. Great. Randy and Mark and Shannon and Todd and Molly, fantastic. And we've got one more we're waiting for with Nina. We'll keep working on getting her video. But thanks,
is
advisors.
the webcam limit reached? Can you hear me?
You have to go off video, Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Oh, I thought I was.
Nina's
Okay,
talking
there we
before
go.
me. Do you want me to drop off?
Nope, we're okay.
Okay.
I just stopped my webcam, so let's see if Nina, can you pop back on now?
Okay.
There we go. Fantastic. Well, thanks everyone for being flexible, and thank you so much for joining us today. All of the FinTech firms picked an advisor to come join that they really thought were doing an amazing job of kind of leading through this change with the technology that you have in place. And so we really are so excited to hear from you. The first couple of roundtables, it was great to get the perspective from the leaders from the fintech firms, but I tell you, to get the perspective and the experience from the boots on the ground, if you will, and be able to hear how you're coping with all the different challenges that you have in your life right now and your practice. I'm excited to hear from all of you. So welcome. And what I'd like to do is just pose the questions that we asked of you, and let you talk for a few minutes about your experience and things you'd like to share with the advisor community. And so what I'll start with is ask you that you introduce yourself, what firm you're with, and then give some insights. And so the questions we asked about were really how do you integrate your tech stack that you have in place? What's working right now for you? And are there some lessons that you've learned from the process as you were trying to integrate those different technologies that some advisors might appreciate out there hearing your experience? And so let's kick off with Randy. Randy Dipple, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks a lot. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, great. So my name is Randy DePel. I run a solo practice here in Chicago called Nest Egg Advisory. I really rely on technology a lot to build and scale clients. Adding technologies, from my perspective, should either provide you operational efficiencies, support your marketing efforts, or enrich your client experience. We try to keep it simple for clients, but our business is obviously very complex. So integration is kind of vital to my business. But if you're not careful, you can kind of build yourself a tech labyrinth that you can get lost in. And for example, I put this together. So this is my current tech stack, right? So there's like 30 different things that I use to support my business. It's a little crazy, but not everything is integrated, and it doesn't need to be. But so what have I learned? In order to try and keep it simple, simplicity requires ruthlessness. And to keep things simple, you need to regularly review all of the tools at your disposal and kind of get rid of the ones that you're not using or the ones that your clients are not using. So there's a lot out there, but you really need to boil it down, and so you can deliver results that are deliver the results you promise for your clients and also build success for yourself. So that kind of answers my bit on it. So thanks.
Oh, thanks, Randy. And please, advisors, if there's any questions that come up that you might have after you give a few minutes of your insights, please chime in. I'm just here to try to moderate and just get the discussion started. So thanks, Randy. I really appreciate it. Todd, let's cut over to you. I'd love to hear some of your experiences you've got out there.
Oh, perfect. Well, thanks, Corey, for having me on. I'm excited to be able to share how I've used technology over the last, 25 years in the business. My firm is Markport Wealth Management. I'm here in Waunakee, Wisconsin, which is just outside of Madison, so I don't live too far from Corey. So I've seen a lot of changes with technology in my career. And I'm not a tech guru, but I like to use technologies that are simple to use and integrate seamlessly with each other. So I'm a current user of Redtail, and I've used Redtail for about 7 to 8 years. I've used Riskalyze for about 5 years, and I most importantly started using Mobile Assistant last summer. And I just did a tech demo with Asset Map, so I'm going to probably start using that as well and integrate that with my retirement planning software. So I'm trying to use all the technologies that are on this call today. But I wanted to touch on one thing, which I think is extremely important, and that is client communication and keeping those notes as accurate as possible when you talk to your clients. Well, like most advisors, we have a meeting, and after the meeting, we type our notes into our CRM. Well, my notes were starting to look like these long paragraphs, and it wasn't organized. So Corey had been talking to me about Mobile Assistant over the last couple of years, and I was very hesitant to adopt the technology. So finally last summer, I took the plunge and I started using Mobile Assistant. And I honestly can say, I don't know what I was doing without it. I do not type notes in anymore into Redtail. I use the mobile dictation. And what I have found, and Corey, you alluded to having those templates within the app. So the app comes preloaded with templates, or you can create your own. So I have an incoming call, outgoing call, phone review, estate planning review with an attorney. But most importantly is one of my templates is annual advisory review. So when we get audited every year by our compliance department, they want to come in and see that we're attesting to meeting with our advisory clients. Well, now when I use the assistant within the mobile app, I have touched on every item that needs to be touched on. Investment objective, time horizon, what did we discuss? So now all of my notes look the same. And I think that has been the biggest benefit to my practice. So I would say, just the integration between Redtail and Mobile Assistant is really what has helped my practice to keep organized. And if there was a lesson that I've learned from all this, is I would have adopted technology at a much earlier time when they first came out.
Well, thanks, Todd. That's great. The work, I think the workflow when it comes to how all the technology really fits into your routine that's what we all as technology companies try to do, is we try to figure out what you're doing as advisors and exactly what your routine is and how we can work into the workflow to make your life easier. So love hearing about the templates and the Redtail integration, Todd. That's fantastic. Thanks. So Nina, let's hear from your perspective here. Nina O'Neill, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you, Corey. I was excited to be on this call because I highly respect and have had interactions with all of the software providers in FinTech here. So I am in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have a 2 advisor owned practice. I'm part, and then I have a business partner, and we have a marketing person and then a client operations person. So we're a team of 4 managing around $100 million in assets across 13 states and 165 households. So I partnered with my partner out of a wirehouse in 2009. So we really started our career in our firm in an environment similar to what we're in right now. And that has shaped how we have prospected and brought on board clients and been very in tune to discussing risk and not putting all of our conversations around performance. And so through this, I think the lesson I'll start with before the technology, but as technology has rolled out, Todd, you alluded to, we've seen so much over time and change. And I joke that now 1 year in FinTech is like dog years. It's what the 7 were before, because it used to move so slowly, but things are progressing so quickly now. And I'm not a techie either, but I like visual and I like to demonstrate knowledge and not just say my opinion, but be able to show it with data. And so technology for us, technology and human capital are the top investments for our firm. And we could not run our business the way that we want to without it. And so the lesson that we've seen coming back to a similar environment 11 years after starting out of the financial crisis and the Great Recession is that the conversations have worked because our clients are really understanding where they are. We've done the planning, we've talked about risk management, and they know our process. And so we haven't had a lot of the fear calls, but also that the client communication has been critical up to now, but is even more critical now. And so as we've seen tools and technologies or marketing platforms come out that we felt like would enhance our practice and our service to our clients, we've spent more and more money. And it means that our business cost has gone up, but as have our assets and the people that we're able to serve. So we are eMoney, Redtail, and Riskalyze. I'm in every day. So those are my real everyday, all day integrations that I use. And before I did a broker dealer change and changed some integrations and processes 5 years ago, I had 2 operations people with about half the AUM. And when we transitioned and I integrated the same softwares more efficiently, we were able to go down 1 operations person, which saved me a lot of money. And so I also use Jive, which is part of it's owned by or partnered with GoToMeetings. So in Jive is our phone app. So we can make calls from our home during the work from home time or traveling on an app on our phone that looks like it's coming from our office. And that's all managed by, or for me, it's important because it's tracking the calls. So if a client said, we called you and nobody returned my call, we can go back and say that's not true. But we like it from a compliance standpoint because it documents what the activity has been in and out from a call standpoint. And we can use it for virtual meetings as well. And then we also implement a few marketing providers, but have absolutely been overwhelmed with the response from the Snappy Kraken email and social media campaigns that we've done through this. And so we actually increased our social media and client communication, email marketing, implemented video over 3 times more than what we had in the past. And I think we were pretty active before, because we want to make sure that our clients are knowing that we're here for them. And it's not just talking about what's going on in the markets in a jargony way. This is really tough, and there are so many things that we're all feeling every day, and really talking on the human emotion and behavioral finance, and making sure our clients understand that we're trying to keep a pulse on what's going on, and that we do leverage technology to make sure that their plan is in place. But they know that we have looked at risk and probabilities of portfolio behavior in every conversation that we've had with them, and using that visually through eMoney and Riskalyze. And so there's really not been a lot of panic yet, and we'll see how the rest of 2020 plays out. But it is great to have those tools during this time, and really grateful that we had implemented them for years before, because our pivot to a work from home or any sort of extended virtual thing for our office has been a non-event.
Well, that's great, Nina. Thanks. Yeah, it sounds like your office was really well prepared for just about anything. I mean, if you're prepared for an incident like we had with this pandemic, and that I would say you're in great shape, because your clients know you're there for them in good times and bad times, and quarantine times and non-quarantine times. So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Shannon, let's let you take the floor now. I'm excited to hear from you. It looks like you got to your office. It sounds like you do feel like your plant might need a little TLC before you leave today.
This is indicative of how long we've all been out of the office. I walked in, I was like, oh, that probably shouldn't be on camera. It's displaying my horticultural skills here. RFG looks different than probably the other advisors on the call today. So I'll just give a little bit of context. We have 55 advisors affiliated with us, and more than 100 team members spread across multiple states. And we built a platform that's fully integrated to support integrated advisors, or to support independent advisors. And we started that journey 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, we looked at the services that we were delivering to our advisors, and we recognized that the RIA of the future and the advisor of the future really had to leverage technology in order to drive those one-to-one client relationships, and that you weren't going to be able to do that without knitting together some really powerful solutions. So I think, as Randy said, as Nina said, I think everybody on this call is on this call because we are big believers that to be successful over the long term, you've got to have a very robust technology platform from which to build. So we made the decision that that was going to be the founding principle, and that was going to be absolutely integral to the future success of connecting with clients. So we have Orion at the heart of what we do. Money Guide Pro is a financial planning tool. Hidden Levers actually is our risk assessment and portfolio stress testing, and Salesforce. So we look a little different. We love everybody that's on the call today, and think that there's some really great competitors on the fintech space. But what I really wanted to focus on, because I think at this point in the juncture that we have all recognized with this global pandemic that the client experience is evolving. Clients want to meet with their advisors when it's convenient to them, in a way that's convenient to them. They want real-time access to their data. They want their portfolios to be stress tested in real time. They want their financial plan to be reflective of where their goals are and not be a static, put it in a binder and put it on a shelf. So I think that now is just baseline table stakes. And for advisors who are still grappling with, do I make the investment in technology? Is it important for me to get fully integrated? Am I going to be able to drive operational efficiency leveraging technology? Do I need it for marketing campaigns and for my clients to feel as if they are in touch with me? The answer is without question, yes. If you haven't already started going down that path, it's really time to get moving, because we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know if there's going to be another chapter to this, But we do know, and we've certainly experienced it at RFG, that our advisors have absolutely been able to thrive in this environment. We, like Nina, were 100% remote kind of from day one, and that was across the board. Every advisor, all of the admin teams, the entirety of the RFG team. And it was because we had this mindset of building the RIA of the future. So what we've been talking about is we didn't plan for a global pandemic, but we did plan for the future of wealth management is undergoing this unbelievable change. So I think building an integrated tech stack, we've got great options on the call today. There's some really fantastic partners. Like, it is time to get going. And I think you've just got to jump into that pool. You've got to know it's hard, it's expensive, you need talent, and you really need to be committed to identifying the problems that you're going to solve. And that's where I think everybody on this call in running their practices can give some really great insights on the nuts and bolts of the technologies. But what I wanted to focus on and kind of the lessons learned and the perspective of today is it's so important to be thinking about culture. It's so important to be thinking about what problems am I trying to solve? How am I going to be positioned in the future? And if you have a clear mindset around what do you expect of your team? What are our values? How are we going to leverage this technology? Then you don't get as bogged down in just the kind of overwhelming nature of all of these solutions, and you can be really focused. I think Todd brought up some great points. There was a pain point in his practice for how he was taking meeting notes in, and it was incredibly important to be documenting that one-to-one interaction with clients. And that's because service, I imagine, is at the core of what his mission statement is for his practice. So I think that as you're processing through all these different technology solutions, if you recognize that you have to have an integrated tech stack, you've got to build a platform from which to serve your investors, but you've got to do it against this backdrop of really thinking about the culture in your firm and how you're going to incentivize your team and how you're going to really keep them engaged. I loved what Snappy Kraken was saying in the prior segment. What's been so interesting to us is our advisors have been doing the stress testing, they've been doing the real-time planning, all of that work is happening. But where it has had a tremendous impact in clients' psyche and in their emotion is the constant communication. So leveraging video to get in front of your clients. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have like a movie star hair to do it. You just got to get out there and really be communicating with your clients. And that's where I think our advisors have of all the tools that they've been able to leverage during this time, it's the ability to really record video and get it distributed and give clients that peace of mind around what's happening in the market, what are other things beyond just what's going on with oil prices, what's happening with the VIX and volatility, but really more getting and speaking to the heart of money and emotion and all the fear that is out there. And then the last thing that I want to touch on that Kelly referred to in her opening that has become like almost a new goal for RFG is that we recognize midway through 2019, we've always placed a huge premium on training. I think all the tech vendors, they're doing boot camps and they're really trying to support advisors during this time. We recognize that you're only as good as the training you have and the technology that you have integrated. So we've done all this training for advisors and we've done all this work around onboarding for RFG team members. But what has become so clear, if we're moving to a more remote environment, if we've defined what our culture is, if we've built what our integrated tech stack is, that we're gonna have to think about incentivizing our teams in different ways and keeping them engaged over the long term. Onboarding is almost talked about as a one-time event. We're going to onboard clients, we're going to onboard our team members, and it's almost like we're going to check these boxes and we're going to be done. And I think one of the areas that I'm really interested in exploring for the future is onboarding is no longer going to be a one and done thing. People are going to evolve during this time and during this crisis and whatever the new normal looks like on the other side of this. So thinking about your clients and re-onboarding them. Are they getting the information communicated to them in the way that makes sense? Are they interacting with their plan in a way that is really resonating with their goals? Are they having their questions answered through that portfolio stress testing? What more can we do, not only for our team members, but what more can we do for our clients? And so really thinking about onboarding as this dynamic piece of our business that's going to drive a significant amount of value, I think, on a go-forward basis.
Well, that's a lot of great stuff, Shannon. Thanks. I think one of the takeaways there was that to understand from the advisor's perspective that your clients are not all the same, right? That some of your clients really are looking for multiple video conferences a week, and some of them just want a phone call. And like I think you hit on that. That I think that's a really key to really try to be in tune that it's not the same. You know, it's not the same for everybody. People need different things in different times of crisis, especially. So that's all really great stuff. Thanks, Shannon. So before I go, we end with Molly and Mark here. I do want to mention to everybody that's on this webinar, feel free to add some questions. I've got some great ones that have come in already, but on the right-hand side, you should see a drop down for the questions section. Please type in your questions there, and if we can get to it, we will. So feel free to do that. So Molly, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being patient, and love to hear from you. Oh, Molly, we don't hear you. I'm sorry. It's okay, Molly. We'll give you a minute with your audio. So Mark, why don't we? You're on deck circle, so we're gonna tee you up here. So Mark, why don't you take it away here?
All right, great. Thanks for having me, Corey. I run a 3-person RIA in Montclair, New Jersey, which is about 10 miles west of New York City. And about 2 years ago, I revamped my entire tech stack, which was, I guess, a good thing, but definitely a lot of challenges with it. And I really did it by just asking, how does this technology allow me to provide a better service? Does it allow me to be more efficient and scale? And I use actually everyone on this call. So I use Orion, Riskalyze, Redtail, Snappy Kraken, Asset Map, Mobile Assistant. I also use eMoney and Y charts, which I've been using a lot lately as well. But I think the biggest theme to what's been going on with all the uncertainty is just how the intensity has risen. And with that, we heard a lot from both advisors and the tech panelists is the communication, but also how quickly can I get access to data and how quickly can I process that data and communicate that out to clients. So I wanted to talk about a couple things on that, but Snappy Kraken has helped a lot with the communication aspect of things, and they have campaigns that I use for on the prospecting side, stuff to keep in touch with my clients. But what they've also done is a weekly crisis email, and it's about the different topics. We can only send that bear markets recover email so many times, and it's really I forget who mentioned it, but it's connecting on that human touch. So they'll provide the framework of the email. I'll customize it to add some some personal story I wanted to put in there, or just more towards my tone, but and send that out to my clients, prospects, and I've gotten great feedback from it that at least the goal of the communication is, one, let my clients know that I'm there and I am working, but two, it's also helping to try and redirect them to focus on what's the important things right now. They get hit with the media fire hose and their minds are all over the place, so it's really trying to redirect them to what's important. And the other thing that was mentioned a little bit, but this is actually a great time for prospecting as well. I've talked to a couple of advisors recently, and they said, how can we prospect? I'm in a basement, working in a basement. My clients, my prospects aren't thinking about this, but it's really not true. And Snappy Kraken's had some great campaigns there that allows me to get prospects into the funnel, or get leads into the funnel that I've been able to leverage and work. And Asset Map's another one where you think, oh, I have to be in front of this person to build a relationship with them. And no, you can use a Google Meet or a Zoom call, put that asset map on, and you can establish a connection with someone by doing that. And then just the one other thing that's really helped, and I spoke about it with data and getting access to it, is I leverage Orion's Insight tab a lot. So I'll get a phone call and, you know, a client will start throwing questions at me. You know, what did my portfolio do? What am I invested in? And leveraging tools like that where it can just very quickly put a name in, and it just spits out a lot of data that you know, you have at your fingertips to use, you know, really to paint that story or paint that picture that you want to make. So the 2 years, it was definitely challenging, but you know, especially trying to put a tech stack together while our main job is an advisor. But you know, doing it's definitely allowed me to scale and be more efficient with it.
Oh, that's great, Mark. One question that had come in from one of the attendees that you might be able to speak on, and I'd like to open it up to everybody too, is what are you using for lead gen? Is there something specific for automated lead generation that that you feel like has worked well for you when it comes to that, since you were talking about prospecting?
Yeah, I mean, I've utilized Snappy Kraken a lot for it. You know, their campaigns, they had a volatility campaign, they had a bear market campaign, they had a 401k rollover campaign, and it's really utilizing the campaigns to my lists, and also they go pretty heavily on social media as well. So that's how that's helped me get some leads in the pipeline.
All right, great. I'd like to hear from everybody, but we don't have a whole lot of time left here. We're getting to the top of the hour, and we need to finish strong. So I think, Molly, I think the audio is fixed, and we're saving the best for last here. So thanks so much for joining us, Molly. Love to hear from you.
So thank you. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's funny being on a tech call and not being able to use my tech. So, but anyway, thanks for hosting. Thanks for the panelists. This has been so helpful to many out there that are listening, including myself. I'm learning so much just from listening to everybody else that's talked before me. So it feels like everybody's working hard in the panelists to help us come up with great solutions for our firms and our clients, instead of, you know, kind of the old way was technology was pushed out. Hey, this is what to use. It really feels collaborative now. So I have a firm in Houston, Texas. It's called Well Lived Wealth, and we're associated with Equitable. We're a holistic financial planning firm. We also have an expertise in divorce planning. We have around $150 million under management. We offer holistic planning, life insurance, annuities, and asset management. You know, and never has there been a time when those areas of expertise, money and mortality at the same time, have been on everybody's mind. So to circle back to the tech part of this conversation, to be honest, I'm going to wrap myself out here. I didn't know what a tech stack meant before this call. Now I do. I had to ask what that was before the call, but I'm not afraid of technology, and I like to try new ones. We use Asset Map, we use eMoney, we use Salesforce, Riskalyze, Calendly, Broadridge for reporting for our website. Join me, SharePoint, and My Marketing Station. You know, we're all working, my team's all working from our remote locations at home. It was seamless for us. Thankfully, I'm so thankful for that, because that's not the case for so many others. You know, as a starting point, our technology, our kind of our day-to-day getting ready for client meetings, which we're having a ton of through Join Me, that flow starts usually with Salesforce and goes around the team to prepare me and other advisors for the meetings. So that's kind of where we start with everything, and most all the other technologies come from there, and a dictation from there as to what tasks need to be done to get ready for meetings. You know, the lessons that I've learned is, if I can think of it already, then it's already been created probably with tech. And so to not waste my time trying to overthink it, search for a tech solution. We use spreadsheets for many things that can be done much better by technology. There's so many exciting and helpful things from tech. I wish I spent more time in the day learning the full functionality of them to use them in better ways. But there's just so much, and I'm just a financial planner. So that's all I've got.
Molly, welcome to the club of Tech Stack.
I know what it means now. I'm in the club.
Oh, that's great, Molly. Well, we're right at the top of the hour, everybody, and I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you advisors that joined us today. I can speak, I know, for all of the financial technology firms that are on this webinar, that we rely on you to give us the ideas on what we can do to make your life more efficient and really try to have an impact in your practice. So please keep those ideas flowing, keep any new ideas that you have. Make sure to communicate those to companies like ours, so that we can try to innovate and try to take things to the next level for you. And please, everyone, stay safe. Thank you so much for joining us today. This panel roundtable has been recorded, so we'll make sure to distribute it to everyone, and really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us, and stay safe. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Corey.
Bye.